Welcome back to the Denver Radio Real Estate Show. I'm Cheryl Garlock with Colorado Front Range Properties. Wow, I'm really glad you guys could join us here today. My very guest, I've been corrected, is Madeline Slavin with Madeline Properties. Thank you so much, Madeline, for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
I need to be corrected now and then. And I also have Keith Moore with Rocky Mountain Group Engineers and Architects. Keith, welcome to the show as well.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to have you guys here, but first I wanted to tell you out there that if you are thinking about buying a home and you've been renting, you know, we were just talking about credit scores and how all that works there and how rental income is going to start counting towards your credit score, at least that's the anticipation there. If you'd really like to know more about what the rent-to-own programs are, I get a lot of calls on that. Go to denverrealty.com. We've got a class that's coming up called, what is it called? What you need to know about rent-to-own programs. It's really what it's all about. Go to denverrealty.com, click under the Search Homes tab for the rent-to-own program. So denverrealty.com and the Search Homes tab, and go to the rent-to-own program right there. And that class is coming up, I think, September 11th. September 11th there, and it's just like a 90-minute class there. You guys will get a lot of information out of that and really understand what that's all about. Now, I wanted to go ahead and have Keith talk to us a little bit about the concept of architecture versus interior designers. Is that what it is, interior designers, Keith?
Interior designers are house planners.
Oh, house planners, right.
You know, a lot of builders will use just home planners or their own in-house people and not use architects. So we get a lot of calls. Being an architect engineering firm, we get a lot of calls for people that are looking for the full, boat. They want
the full Monty.
Yep, they want everything from the design to the structure all done by the same company. So they're like, well, why should can I just bring you a plan and have you guys do the structure on it?
Yeah.
So, well, are you going to make changes to the plan? Generally, it's like, yeah, we don't like this, we don't like that. Where'd you find the plan? Well, at houses.com or whatever.
Yeah.
Off the internet, there's 10 billion house plans floating around out there, and so everybody looks at part of it and say, I like this, I like that. Even with my wife, we were redesigning our house and we were looking at, she liked this, she liked that. She'd pull out the catalog and say, I want this picture, I want that picture.
And then you'd say, but honey, we have to change too many other things.
Well, then you got to say, okay, we can give you all this, but you don't have $1 million.
Right.
Or we can try to marriage the best of everything together. And that's where architects have a little more schooling, a little more training to be able to take all those ideas and marry them together into one cohesive, workable plan. Most people, if you go into their house, they like part of it. They don't like 100% of it.
Right. Now, not only that, when you have to think about the architectural plan itself sitting appropriately on the lot. I mean, not every plan works on every lot.
That's correct. You can go in, and the builder's philosophy is, my garage has to be higher than the street. I don't care how high it is or how much steep your driveway is. I've got to be higher than the street. And then a lot of times you walk out, and you can see on the internet there's 100 pictures out there where, the guy's garage, you couldn't even drive up it. It's so steep.
Oh, I got one of those. I kid you not, I got one of those there, and let me tell you, it is no fun getting your car stuck at the bottom of the driveway and have to get out the shovel and to shovel the ice away to get your car back up to the driveway. I have had to do that on a couple of occasions, yes. I don't like that idea. No, not much at all there. So really, you have to be pretty cautious about buying these plans off the internet, don't you think?
You do. A lot of them are done out of state, so there's a lot of state regulations that you have to be aware of and look at, egress, fire codes, things like that. And they don't give you structure plans. So yeah, it's a pretty picture, but how are you going to make this thing stand up? And that's the big important thing, and that's where we as an architectural engineering firm can have some insight to that. I've been in the architecture game for over 30 years, and I've done house plans for builders, and I've done house plans for individuals. And, we produce a full set of plans that has been thoroughly thought through. We've talked to you about, well, what size doors do you want? How long are you going to be in the house? What's the interiors are going to look like? If you have a separate interior designer that's going to pick colors and finishes for you, we'll marry those in together, make sure the transitions all work, and you don't have a step here that's too high and too low, the little things that oh gosh, my trim comes into my window instead of moving that window over 2 inches to make the trim.
So tell me, let's say I'm going to build a custom home, because it so happens we're going to be talking about a custom home here in a short bit anyway. But let's just say I'm going to start from the ground and I'm going to build a custom home there. And on that particular property there, I need to somehow figure out, okay, here's what I want on the surface, so to speak. How do I figure out the engineering on that to work well with the architect and the architectural plans?
Well, the architect
What's the process?
Most architects should be schooled, as myself, with some structural background. So you understand the basics of how the building is going to go together. A lot of house designers are just that. Our interior designers are just, they can do the pretty pictures in the floor plan, but they don't understand how the structure has to support that floor plan. So as a professional designer, we have been schooled and have the background to say, okay, well, I can give you that 40-foot span, but it's going to, increase your depth of your floor structure by 2 feet and add strength and add rigidity to make it a viable plan. We can put that big wall of windows in, but we're going to have to make that wall out of steel instead of just, wood frame and stuff like that. So it's a cost impact, it's a construction method impact, and it's also a final impact to schedule.
I only have a couple of minutes, but I want to ask you a couple of things. So tell me a little bit about what some of the new trends are in architectural planning.
Gosh, the new trends I'm seeing are downsizing, and Madeline can probably comment a little bit on this later in your show. That 10 years ago, 15 years ago, before the bubble burst, we were building 8,000 square foot homes for two people.
For 2 people? Not me.
Because you would go in and you had a mandate from the Architectural Control Committee in the subdivision that your house had to be a minimum of 3,500 feet. Well, you had a walkout lot, so you ended up with a 7,000 foot house, 4-car garage, and they lived in 10% of it. And now you're starting to see the trend where people are like, the baby boomers are downsizing, but also the new people are saying, we don't need that. My parents' first house was 950 square feet.
Wow.
And so, I have an old Victorian house that I bought that was 970 square feet. I have expanded it as I added kids
Yeah.
to, about 2,000 feet. But, that's plenty for us. And now our kids are being gone. My wife and I are like, what are we going to do with all this house?
So how does somebody, I only have a few seconds left, but quickly I'd like to kind of know, if I'm thinking about making a plan here, do I need to go ahead and get an architect or a designer?
Well, it's really going to be who you can work with. My recommendation is to always use an architect, but if you've got a real good relationship with a designer and you feel comfortable, then it's really going to be who you're comfortable with.
Wow. Well, stay tuned for more from the Denver Radio Real Estate Show, because we're going to be right back. We got Property Showcase coming up, and if you want to know where and how to find the most accurate information on homes available, go to denverrealty.com. Stay tuned for more. We'll be right back, and our number is 720-373-0654.